Hi, this is Ray here, and this is the second build of the league. It is also probably one of the most, probably the best build I think of 0.30. It outperforms Dead Eye by a pretty decent margin, mostly because of the price point. So if you look at the total amount of cost of gear I have right now, this is probably under about 45 divs. Actually, it's probably under 40 divs. And if you were to look at a similar performance for Deadeye, it would cost you probably more than 100, I think. Because if you look at, for example, Fabian's gear, his belt is pretty. I mean, I'll show you mapping as well. This is not just single target, right? Let me just pick a map for you, and then we'll hopefully. Okay, let's look for an Abyss map. So I didn't come up with this build. So I mean, I'm just gonna preface this, okay? I didn't come up with the build. This is not my build. This is a build that a Korean guy has done. I will link his channel later in the description. But since he hasn't really gone into POB or done any explanation of how the build's mechanics work outside of Korean, so I figured I might as well just do one, so you guys can actually play the build if you want. But yeah, can I find one with a breach? Is not breach, sorry. Why do I have no Abyss maps? I think any Abyss maps I've done, right? So that's the reason why. Damn it. Well, if that's the case, maybe I'll just do any other random map. I'll just do any random map. I can't be asked. Okay, let's do a... I usually don't do T15s on boss maps. Whatever, I'll just do it. I do T14s because I want to up tier them. I don't really have decent T15 sustain. Oh wow, decent rolls too. Nice. I'll put this. Yeah, and figure out later. What? Oh, because he fractured the wrong mod. Pretty sure someone's bought it already, right? Oh yeah, it's not available. Yep. That's the thing, you can't do this in map, which is really annoying. Okay, I'm gonna show how the build works in map. You notice I did not change any skill gems. Oops. This build actually is really good sustain. I mean, I would like more max hit, but sustain's like really good for the build. Also, I'm playing like Garbo right now because I'm not concentrating. I would say that the sustain is so good that sometimes you can, when you get stunned, you'll be stunned because you sprint. I can just get kept alive just off last alone, which is nice. Oops. Because the speed of which you clear a map is heavily dependent on your movement speed. This build has decent movement speed, not amazing, but still decent. You're not really limited by clear because Poison Prolly is just probably the best thing for clear right now. I don't think there's a better clearing mechanic at the moment. We don't have double harrow chaining, we don't have all that, you know, 0.20, 0.10, you know, full screen clears nonsense, but we still do have Poison Prolly, which is really nice if you can do a really big poison. Well, he died. What was that? That was a barrier. No, not picking it up. The boss. Okay, I'm gonna cover the core mechanics of the build, how it works, and then what you need to do to get there. What is the cheapest ways to scale stuff? Some things I've discovered or found out by myself as well while playing this build. So this is a Poison Pathfinder. And it's a Poison Pathfinder that uses the new Acid Flask, right? Acidic Concoction. And the reason why it does so much damage is because there is a shotgun mechanic that very few people know about, and the shotgun mechanic was what the Korean guy was discovered, right? Which is quite interesting because it's sad to say this, but if Ru actually persisted in playing this build, he probably would have discovered it himself, but I think he gave up a little too early. Anyway, so how this works is for single target, you notice that the bosses are melting instantly, and the reason being is that you're doing 4 times damage because you are destroying 4 times the target, 4 times poisons, right? So what acid does is it takes your remaining poisons and then expends all of the remaining poisons. So when it comes to Poisonburst arrow, you do, let's say for example, this amount of poison DPS per second, and then you multiply it by the poison duration of almost close to 20 seconds, right? So if this is 20, so right now, okay, my damage goes up because I have proximity to my companion. When it's away, I do less. But imagine this amount here, if it was 22,000, you multiply it by 20, that's 440,000 per poison. And if you stack up, if you run this mechanic correctly, you're gonna do 4 times damage, which is 4 times 400,000, which is 1.6 mil, right? That's just sheet DPS. I'm pretty sure it's more than that. If you see sometimes that I don't do the full amount, is because you sometimes don't get full overlap, and you sometimes don't get full overlap just because, you know, bad luck, right? Is the way I would describe it. Wait, actually, come think of it, do I have Magnify? Yeah, I do have Magnify. Sounds like just bad luck. Probably there are ways to make the overlaps better, but I think mostly it's just placement of your, these are vine arrows, by the way. Placement of your vine arrows and whether or not the boss is on the overlaps when you blow it up. So here's the core mechanic, right? Normally what you do with Acid Flask is you will poison a single target, right? So you Poison Burst and then you expand it with Flask. You pop it with Flask, you apply it, and then you pop it with Flask again. What Vine Arrow is doing for you here is that Vine Arrow is providing shotgun. So every Vine Arrow pod can get poisoned, okay? So all of them can get poisoned by the same Poisonburst arrow, and all of them can get expanded by Acid Flask. So imagine that you've already poisoned 3 of them and you poison the boss, and then you Acid Flask, you're doing 4 times damage on the same area. And you're basically nuking the boss, right? So that's the reason why a single target for this looks so good. There is another way of doing that, which is also a little annoying to set up, but if you really want to do that, you can, and that is to put Gas Arrow down. I do not have a Gas Arrow set up at the moment, but if I wanted to, I could. So what Gas Arrow does is you would drop vines, and then you drop Gas Arrow on the vines, and because the Gas Arrow is constantly poisoning the vines and the boss, you can just spam Flask. You see where this is going, right? You don't even have to rotate Poisonburst into the thing. You just spam Gas Arrow, right? But for all intents and purposes, I haven't done that setup because I think the damage is good enough. You don't need more than that, unless you really want to show some boss deletion showcases. But yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, so for clear, why is poison the best clear like mechanic right now in POE too. And the reason being is once they nerf double heralds, there are not many things that can prolife off each other. And when you don't have many things that can prolife off each other, you can't do screen wide clears. The only exception to that is Herald of Plague. So Herald of Plague spreads the most damaging poison on enemies you kill in a 1.8 meter radius, and the chance to hit enemies on spreading poison, yada yada yada. Here's the thing. The reason why this is strong is only because you are doing very high amounts of single target poison. Your focus is one big poison, right? If you make a build that focuses on doing like 6 poison stacks on the same target, like what normal PFs would do, normal Pathfinders would do, you wouldn't actually make use out of this because your single poisons are just too weak, right, to spread like this. So Herald Plague, just like the Poison Shield Charge Pathfinder I did last league, really, really strong for any skill that hits for a very high amount. Alright, that being said, how else do you make your clear even better? So not only do you have Herald Plague, and not only do you have high amount of single target, high amounts of poison on your main ability, so that's your Poisonburst arrow. What you have here is also Plague Bearer. So Plague Bearer is really, really strong this patch, mainly because you can run Magnified Area along with Piety's Mercy, Bursting Plague, Poison 3, and Astral Projection. Okay, let me explain what each of these supports do. Magnified Area, bigger AoE, do more damage with Plague Bearer. No, do not do more damage. Do a bigger AoE with Plague Bearer. Piety's Mercy, your Plague Bearer cannot kill, so it cannot hit and kill. They have to die from poisons. So how do they die? The answer is Bursting Plague. So Bursting Plague, this counts for some reason. I'm not sure if it should. It applies stores a poison damage, this stores poison and then expends poison, so it still counts as poison. You still infect them with Bursting Plague, and Bursting Plague itself can poison. you see what I'm getting at, right? Bursting Plague itself can poison, and because Bursting Plague itself can poison, it can recharge Plague Bearer. So this is it loops itself, okay? So what will happen is you're gonna Plague Bearer, you're gonna Plague Nova. It is going to prop Bursting Plague. Bursting Plague is going to explode and prop more poisons. And more poisons are going to spread with Herald Plague. It will build your Plague Bearer up to max again. You see this very often in situations where there is very high monster density. So breaches, abysses, whatever, those that have high monster density, you can literally run through the whole thing and just spam Plague Bearer. Okay, so now you know Plague Bearer is kind of nuts for poison clear. You only really need to press 2 buttons in maps most of the time. It is Poisonburst Arrow and then Plague Nova, Plague Bearer, Plague Nova. The only time you don't press Plague Bearer, Plague Nova is because you have 0% and then you have the Poisonburst again. So that's generally how the mapping is like. If you have very high, very tanky very tanky rare mob you can't kill with this combo, sometimes it happens. They have high resistances or they have high base HP. You're just gonna drop flask on them and then they pop, right? So that's the only instance where like this 2 combos don't work. What else is there? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, I'm gonna cover itemization. I'm gonna cover the passive skill tree as well as like some of the support gems. I think support gems are pretty self-explanatory. Okay, let's just cover them just in case. So Aesthetic Concoction doesn't do any damage. It pops. It causes life loss. Okay, it causes life loss based off the remaining poisons. Because it causes life loss, it doesn't do damage, right? So you can just like have less damage mods on it. It doesn't matter, right? So yeah. So Aesthetic Concoction, what you're doing is you're putting utility on it. You want more faster attacks, so it's easier to use. You want AoE because then you have better overlaps. I use multi-shot instead of Nova. I know a bunch of them use Nova. I prefer multi-shot because I like the, I want to throw stuff at range sometimes. And because am I using close combat support? No, I'm not using close combat support. I don't really need the damage from being close to the enemy. So multi-shot gives me range. Projectile acceleration, just similar, more utility. You can put, so I put Howling Strike, but you can put other utility stuff as well other than projectile acceleration. Poisoned Arrow, anything that gives you more damage. I am considering changing this out because I'm not sure that this is better. I think it's okay now, but I'm not sure. I'll have to double check this. I'm just pretty much just following what the Korean guy is doing, but at some point I might reevaluate some of the supports. Anyway, so prolonged duration, Poison Burst is unique. It says there that your Poison Burst is affected by modifiers the skill effect duration. So the poison duration is also affected the skill duration modifiers. So that includes more duration, more skill effect duration. So that's why you want to use this. This basically gives you a very long duration poisons. As I said, you don't really quite care about the damage per poison tick as much as you care about the whole amount of poisons you do over the X duration, right? So duration is great. Very unique circumstance here, right? Most of the time, poison duration is like, yeah, I don't really need so much of it. But in this case, yeah, you do, because you're gonna burst it with acid flask. All right, so moderation, daily poison could probably be swapped out for something else. I will have to check if this is good damage. Anyway, for now I'm using it. Deliberation, also more damage. There is a move speed penalty while using it, but thankfully I've got a bunch of stuff to mitigate that. Not too bad. Rig Wall's Ferocity, it's always used in weapon set 2. Make sure your bow is on weapon set 2. This gives you more damage but less attack speed. You honestly don't care about attack speed. As I said, poison, you're only applying one poison. You know, you can't apply more than one, so attack speed doesn't really matter. It's just quality of life. Attack speed is just quality of life for you. Concentrated area, same thing. More damage. Alright, let's go to Vine Arrow. So Vine Arrow, you want to drop 3 pods. How you drop 3 pods? You have to run multi-shot. So that gives you 2 additional projectiles. It drops pods wherever your projectile hits. Overabundance, add extra to Vine pod limit. Normal limit is 1. This is adding 1 more, so that's 2. I'll show you how to add the third one. Concentrated area, I actually have no idea why this is added. You don't actually get any damage bonus from this. I think it's just to cluster the pods closer to each other. But yeah, anyway. Prolonged duration, same thing. You want it to be as long as possible, so you don't have to keep reapplying it if the boss is standing in the same area. You want to be able to, so if the Vine Arrow is directly on the boss and you don't have to replace them, the boss still standing here, just shoot again and then flask again. Shoot again and flask again. So that's your DPS. Alright. Gas arrow, okay, gas arrow is only if you have a gas arrow swap. I haven't done that yet, so just take note of it. You could probably figure out supports for this if you wanted, but just saying, it's something I might consider in the future if I felt I needed more single target damage. Shield charge, this is on the swap, right? So the acid flask swaps to your unarmed setup. So this, I put a shield here just because for more mobility if needed. Most of the time, not really required, I feel. Yeah, you always have mobs in front of you, so like, what you're gonna shield charge into is mostly when you have like big open spaces with nothing to do. Then yeah, shield charge if you want. If you're a bit afraid to sprint, yeah, you can just do this. Okay, so companion. So companion gives you so my companion here gives me chill because of Trail of Ice and temporal bubble. It can't shock unfortunately because it doesn't do any damage, and then it does give flame wall as well for some ignite. I mean, if I needed it. Right, I probably want to swap this out, but I haven't got to it. Slow potency provokes with, I guess it works with temporal, but I'm not sure. And Trail of Ice. Blind spot, so this applies blind. Maim spot, this applies maim. Maim also slows. And then Brutus Brain. So Brutus Brain means minions cannot be damaged, and they do no damage. So that means the minion will always be alive. It will never die. You have no downtime on this guy. I'll show you why later on the passive tree. So Plague Bearer, I've shown you the links already. There's no need for you to, I'll go through it again. Magnified Area, Party's Mercy, Bursting Plague, Poison 3, and Astral Projection. Some people don't use Astral. I like Astral just because it allows me to cast this at range, right? I can Nova at range, so it allows me to target where I want to place it. Secondly, I can put it on my left click, so it's a lot better quality of life for me. Then I can just target it at distance, right? Herald Plague, you don't need anything on it actually. I just have extra spirit, so precision is just accuracy, right? This build doesn't really have much accuracy, and you want to have like 100% chance to hit, especially at range. Okay, let's talk about passives first, then we're finally going to itemization. So interesting thing here, you're not actually running any of the poison passives for Pathfinder. In fact, the poison, you know, the poison, we call it, ascendancies are kind of bad, right? And that's a problem. So I'll give you an example, right? The most damaging poison enemies you kill is spread to other enemies within 1.5 meters. You realize that Herald Plague is 1.8. So Herald Plague for 30 spirit is better than this thing, right? It doesn't make sense. This is literally just 30 spirit. And so, I mean, for GG to really change this to make sense, is to actually say that all poisons you apply can spread within a radius of like 1.5. Then it would be cool, right? Because then you can do multi-poison, and you're not limited. Like right now, you do one big poisons for prolif. Why would you want to do like more than 6? Why do you want to do 6 or 10 small poisons? It don't make sense, right? So this is like a very bad node. It's like the only reason I get this node is to get here. And this node itself already gives you less poison duration. So you apply 2 times the amount of poison, but you get less poison duration. So everything here disincentivizes you. Like the way poisons are set right now, it disincentivizes you from actually going like small poisons. Like lots of poisons and small poisons, right? Anyway, that's why you don't go here. You don't go here as well because like you're actually getting a whole bunch of these nodes because they're on the way, and they already give you like slowing potency reduction and you know, there's another set here I didn't get it because I don't have enough points. But slow potency reduction, I also get it on my gear, by the way. You don't really, sorry, not on gear. Penalty, sorry, no penalty. You can get it on gear, so it's kind of no point going here. So what is strong in Pathfinder now is the acid flask. If acid flask didn't exist, I think the best poison build is not a Pathfinder. It's going to be a Cholula monk. Yeah, it's just sad, but it is what it is. All right, it's a Cholula probably running with like purple flames, right? And you just run over the purple flames and you drop gas arrows or something. But or Poisonburst, right? But because right now you have acid flask, Poison Pathfinder is still the best, right? Because it allows you to pretty much exhaust your poisons and then reapply the single big poison, right? Which you can't do with any other class. So, yeah, acid flask is what enables this. All right, when it comes to the rest of it, it is mostly util, right? So this is DR, and it's really good DR, right? This is LE DR, and it applies, although it applies before it's like the armor formula. Although it applies before resistances, it's still really strong because it, like for example, enemy pen, max res reduction, you have less problems because this actually already cuts the amount of incoming LE damage you take, right? So enables you to do a lot more mods. So that's really cool. Immune to freeze, freeze. Why wouldn't you want to be immune to freeze? It's super good. I did consider immune to shock, and then applying a large shock through what was it, the shock support, but didn't do that. So yeah, you can consider that if you want. I've got immune to freeze also because I'm not running a thawing charm, and I'll show you why later. Okay, enduring elixirs. So that's for my sustain. So I'm using Chevron's satchel, and that allows me to basically get double dip on the recovery for life and ES. So right now, if you look at my total pool, I have about 2.9k max EHP, and I have a really strong recovery on both. So basically, when I press the flask, I get about a 700 instant recovery because it's an instant flask, and then I get about like a couple. So 30% is 700, so 2,100 total, and I don't even have equality, right? So 2,100 total. So about 1.4k recharge. It never ends because of this, right? So normally what happens is that if you have chevrons and you have this, once your life is full, you don't recharge any ES. Only the instant ES can be recharged from the instant one, right? But with this, you basically can get the full recharge. So like whatever the remaining 70% that you that is not applying instantly will still keep, regenerating you. So one single button is enough to like mitigate most of that incoming damage if you do take incoming damage. Really, really strong interaction. Reason why I've gone for it. Okay, let's go to the rest of the passive tree and see where we path to. The way I'm going is I'm trying to get as many jewel sockets as possible. So 1, 2, and 3. I also want to get subterfuge mask and spectral ward. These two are extremely strong. I have no idea why they're not being removed. I guess GG decided to solve the problem by nerfing evasion instead. So maybe that's the answer to it. We don't nerf EV ES setups. We just nerf EV as a whole, right? Evasion as a whole. Why do I have this allocated? I'll show you. Okay, I haven't made use of this yet. There is a reason why this can be allocated, but I haven't made a use for it. I'll show you why later. Anyway, okay, let's go into passives. You're gonna path out here. You're gonna get all the movement speed nodes because movement speed is king for clear. Then you're gonna go here because you don't really need these evasion nodes, and you actually kind of need a lot of stats, right? Because you need an ES helm, and then you need like Voltaxic. Voltaxic is 165. So you path to here. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna bum rush to this section for more poison duration, especially in Axe because it's really, really good. And then you're gonna path here and get all the poison nodes here. Magnitude of poisons. Low tolerance is really strong as well because you if you increase the effect of poisons, you fling on targets that are not poison is literally a 60% wall. because you're gonna apply that big poison. You only can apply one anyway. Then after you apply that one big poison, you're gonna blow up that one big poison with acid concoction. Right. So you don't really need to get all the defensive nodes early as well as the flask nodes early. You just want to bum rush the damage. So you go to here, you path straight to here and hit to here in X. Eventually at some point you will want to start building defenses. You go into the evasion nodes here, you get the ES evasion nodes hybrids here, and then you path to here and get the ES evasion hybrid node. At some point when you get chevrons and you pick up chevrons, you want to get all the flask nodes. So these are all the increased life recovery from flasks down here, as well as flash charges, flash charge gain. Strength is nice too because, you know, more stats. And then if you wanted to, you can get here as well, these 2 points for more recovery. If you wanted to as well, you can path to here for even more recovery, although I don't recommend it. This area is kind of weak. So because skill duration as well as poison duration is a priority for you, this is actually a really strong node because it gives you attack damage, which gives you damage to your poison, as well as skill effect duration, which is duration of your poison. So yeah. Down here, lots of poison duration as well, right? So you notice you pretty much pick up all the poison nodes. You don't need poison chance because Plague Burst poisons by default, right? So no need to get chance of poison. You don't need to get +1 to poison count because you only care about one big poison, right? So you don't need to get these as well. Okay, so another damage scaling mechanic we're running is we're using Companion. So the Companion is never going to die because it's going to stay permanently alive. And you have this node that says here, increases and reductions to Companion damage also apply to you. So that means every node here gives you about 22% increased damage, which is a very good, very effective. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a total of 22% times 7 is 154% increased damage, just off like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nodes. Not too bad. That's a really good percentage increase. So, yep, that's why you get it. And then, yeah, because you have a Companion, you want to reduce the reservations. This is, I think I can unspec all of these two, but I'll lose precision. Should I just actually? I don't need precision, do I? Yeah, I probably don't. I'll reevaluate this. Sometimes I don't have this tree fully optimized, and that's fine. Yeah, movement speed node here. Oh, you get all the quiver nodes too, because quiver. I'll show you why quiver nodes. Quiver nodes are really good for scaling damage on Voltaxic. Then slowing potency of debuffs as well as penalty for while moving because you're not going here. Really good for clear too. Okay, elephant in the room. So why Holopalm? So Holopalm is interesting, all right? Reason why Holopalm is because if actually no, I'm fine with keeping Holopalm right now. Okay, so the reason why Holopalm is when you're unarmed. Maybe I should show you this in Hideout. Because no, not Hideout. I'll unspec out it and I'll show you. Right, I'll spend some gold to show you exactly why Holopalm is important. Okay, let's say I swap to, where's my shield? Okay, I swap to my shield. Herald of Plague is still active, okay? If I unspec Holopalm, it goes inactive. And the reason why it goes inactive is because you don't have a martial weapon equipped. You see where this is leading to, right? So when you are on a shield charge setup and you cast Plague Bearer, you're not going to prolive, which means you don't get like Plague Bearer recharge. So that's why you add Holopalm, right? That gives you the access to Herald of Plague while in the shield mode. In fact, sometimes you could just go, if you really want to be super tanky, you can run into maps. And if your shield is strong enough and you get like really good shield defense nodes, you can probably just run through the map and just spam Plague Bearer. Only swapping the poison burst arrow if required. Okay? So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's all there is for passives. Let's talk about itemization and cost. So this is the part of the build that makes it really, really strong. So if you were to play, so this is actually the interesting thing about League Start. Originally, when I was discussing League Start with a bunch of friends, that includes Mason. You see Mason in chat, he'll probably say something in comments. Anyway, before the league started, we were debating about what was the best league starter for 0.30. My belief is that it was poison, because poison is still the only untouched proliferation mechanic, and Abyss is pretty much a proliferation focused mechanic, right? It's proliferation focused content. You really want to be able to clear the entire screen instantly. So we did consider poisons at the start. Here's the problem. When we were looking at poisons, I did realize that there was only two ways to play poisons, and it was Chila Monk or Pathfinder. Here's the thing: Chila Poison inherently has very poor single target. I solved that last league with Shield Charge. Right, Shield Charge has insane damage on a single target because it hits so hard. But they nerfed Shield Charge. You know what happened to Shield Charge? It got killed. Shield Charge went from Shield Charge went from a hit that did 3 times damage to like I think less than 3 right now. So Shield Charge was not a viable option, and so like I shelved it. And the other alternative is Pathfinder, but if you're running Pathfinder, very likely you're gonna run bows or crossbows. And both of which the archetypes, bow and crossbow archetypes, are usually extremely popular at League Start. Especially like I didn't go there for League Start because I felt like I couldn't compete with all the Deadeyes. Like all these guys have no life, okay? Fab has no life. I can't do that. I have responsibilities, I have work, I have a kid to take care of. You know, I'm no longer like a college student or something like that. I have responsibilities, okay? So I don't really have the time to like grind out like crazy. I nowadays I don't even wake up at like 3 a.m. for league starts anymore. I try to wake up at 7, okay? In the normal time I usually wake up. Because my body can't take it anymore. I'm like an old man now. So I knew that I couldn't compete with the Deadeyes for bows. Like all the other classes for bows, and so like that was out of the question. So that's the reason why we didn't go poison. Like both of us, Mason and I, didn't go poisons. We went with Hollow Palm because it was pretty much free scaling. Like if you ask me right now if I would have started SSF, I would say I would start Hollow Palm, because then Hollow Palm is like free, and then you go into like this build, right? You build up items for this build on a Hollow Palm monk, and then you do that in SSF. I might actually do an SSF run. I think Mason is considering doing an SSF run right now. I'm not sure if he has started, but yeah. Alright, let's talk about gear. So now that you know that gear is extremely cheap, let's show you the breakdown. I'm gonna show you not just the prices I paid, but generally how much you expect to pay for them. I would say that in general, you should be able to get most of this relatively cheap. Okay, first and foremost, Voltaxi Rift. Ignore the fact that this is a corrupted 3-socket. I actually bought a 3-socket for cheap that had very good rolls. I tried to corrupt it for a 4-socket and failed, and it rolled upwards for the lightning damage and the lightning convert, which is a bit sad, but still better than nothing. But yeah, you can get a 3-socket Voltaxi with good flat lightning for about 1 div, slightly under 1 div I think. And then all these jewels are like, all these runes are like 4 to 5x or something. I'm not sure if they've gone up. They're not that expensive. So all this is like, okay, let's put it this way. This is like maybe 1 div, okay? Quiver, all you care about is physical damage, lightning damage, and damage with both skills. Attack speed is just good quality of life. But that's the only thing you care about. Plus 2 Proch Gem is really nice too, but those are super expensive because you're competing with LA Deadeye. You want 100% chance to pierce because that gives you really good clear. You don't care about crit chance, so you don't have to compete with the same base with them. Unfortunately, these quivers are still in demand because Deadeyes who can't afford the really expensive crit ones are gonna go for these. So you may not find one cheap, but I think I got this one for about under a div. I think it was a div. Yeah, it was a div. I snipe a lot of my stuff. Anyway, or rather, I look for stuff that no one buys, so you can consider that sniping. Anyway, okay, Amulet. This is really cheap. So this is the reason why Vine Arrow has 3 pods, right? So skills have a +1 limit. So Vine Arrow goes from +2 to +3, right? And this Amulet it used to be a 1 exalt item, but because of Palstron and his totem builds, this is now 40x. So yeah, I paid 40x for this. The Annoying is like another 10x or something, so this is 50x, literally half a div or something. Okay, the expensive parts are defenses, but I'm pretty sure you can get by with less defenses than what I have, so take it with a pinch of salt. I bought this for 2 divs. very early in the league. It was on my Holopalm character. I moved it over. This I bought for 3 divs. I don't think this is 3 divs. It's probably worth way more than that. If you can afford it, go for reduced movement speed penalty while using skills while moving. You can also go for hybrid. So that is the movement speed Hawker. Is it Hawker? I can't remember. ESEV chest armor with 5% movement speed and implicit. That's great too. I would have gone that as well if I wanted to go hybrid instead of pure evasion. I think pure evasion generally is much better this patch because your evasion values are going to be really low without pure evasion chest, right? You want as much evasion as possible, and because you get ES out of it, and also because you can get the 100% from equipped body armor. Suffixes as much resistance as possible. If you can get a deflect mod on it, that would be great. You know, I wanted a deflect mod on this, but I bought this for 3 divs and I'm not going to spend more, so that it is what it is. Rings. Okay, so rings, I've got a really good one here. I saw this for 5 divs and I was like, how can this be 5 divs? This is like, he probably didn't know, like, sometimes when people put things on the market, they don't realize that a very specific build can use it. Like, you look at physical damage, lightning damage, and chaos, and go like, which build needs this 3? Well, all these 3 are like super good for Voltaxic Poison, so yep. But if you want Voltaxic Poison, this looks like a pretty shit ring, right? I mean the prefixes. Suffixes are also really nice, but yeah, pay 5 for this. I consider the fact that I wouldn't actually find another ring like this for less than 10 divs, so I bought a ring of Calandra. Or sorry, a Calandra Starch, and then just mirrored it. Super good amount of res as well, so that helps me to get chevrons in play. So braces, you want deflection, you want physical damage, lightning damage, life, or ES evasion, as much ES evasion as possible, and then res. I've gone for rarity because I've excess suffixes. I look at my res. I'm almost near res cap for chaos and res cap for the rest. So I've gone for rarity here, and rarity here. Yep. Alright, then last we go to boots. So boots, movement speed, life, rarity, res, deflection. I would say get deflection on gloves and boots. And then get res elsewhere if you can. I actually do need to get a little bit more fire res because then I can swap this out for a damage mod, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Chevron Satchel, this is to enable your double recovery on life and ES. But yeah. Flask, you want instant recovery on your life flask as well as something else. I've got increased charges gain here. I literally self-found, so I didn't buy this. And yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you about the prices of these things. So this I bought for 1 div, I think. I got lucky. I got lucky. I saw this for 1 div and I would have bought it. This I bought for 5 divs, I think. Was it 5? I can't recall. Might have been 3 actually. This is 5. This is for sure is 5. So if you look at the build in total, it was kind of cheap. Oh yeah, we talk about jewels. The jewels are expensive, but I honestly feel you don't have to buy expensive jewels. The only jewel that I think is like kind of good that is cheap is this one. So it gives you extra damage, extra chaos, and damage while your companion's in your presence. Potency of debuffs and more speed is just nice quality of life if you can find it. I bought this for 1 div, so yeah, only one on the market by the way. I don't think you find a similar role. I bought this for 20x, I believe. I bought this one for 10 divs. So Poisonburst plus 3 is like expensive. I don't know. Is it expensive now? Like, has it gone down? I don't know. Let me just double check. Poisonburst. Poisonburst plus 3 is that 10 div. There's not a 10 div up. Yeah. I didn't overpay for this. I didn't overpay or underpay for this, so yeah. I think if you don't really need it per se. It's just helpful. You can also go gas arrow plus 3. You can also go plague barrel plus 3, but plague barrel plus 3 I think is 20-30 divs or something, which is like insane. If you look at the support links, I only started getting 6 links when the perfect jewelers was like 40x. But when they were like a div, I was just selling them off and just sticking to a 5-link. You don't really need more than a 5-link, to be honest. And you only need 2 6-links at most. So 1, 2. Yeah, the rest are like 5 links or less. Okay, what else is there? I think that pretty much covers it, right? Talk about skill rotations. Oh yeah, shield. Oh boy. Shield is just whatever is cheap and that you can wear. Get 30 block or something, but this was like 1x. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This is all there is to the build. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I stick by it. I think this is probably the best value for money build. You could be dead with 4 wives and 20 children and still be able to make this build work, because it's so easily accessible. Vortexic Rift may get expensive over the next couple of days, but even so, you can probably just get a normal one without the 3 socket and you'll be fine. Yeah. Alright, that's all. See you guys. I'm out. Peace. Bye.